light for the red and white. The Imps are here to stay. Oh, 'tis now the light for the red and white. The Imps are here to stay.
Jesus. If the wind gets too much in the microphone, please let me know. That's my opening gambit. It's really, really windy. I've got a bit somewhere a bit different today. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm right on the top of the hills. The dog, he's over there somewhere. He's not quite as bothered about the walk. But obviously, I don't know what the sound quality is like. So it is really, really windy. So if please let me know if it's too windy for the audio, and I will cut off. So we haven't had a dog walk for a while. It's been a good reason. I haven't walked the dog, which is kind of, was paid to the dog walk. Last week Fee was off work, so she walked the dog every day, so I could get on with some work. Jesus. But here we are. It's a Monday morning. The Imps have won. We've moved on to a points total some feel may make us safe. Others, eternal pessimists, such as myself, do not think it's 45 will be enough. I think 48 probably will be. You only have to look at Morecambe under Derek Adams winning 3-0. Gillingham obviously took Sunderland to the last minute before getting beaten. Fleetwood won 3-1, albeit away at Crewe. Everyone wins at Crewe, except us. So there's a few teams down there doing particularly well. I think probably the final relegation places between now Fleetwood, Morecambe and Gillingham, and they're two of those teams I'd written off. Wimbledon have managed to force themselves into contention, but they were playing very, very well apparently on Saturday, and lost late on. I think it's a bit too little too late for them. If you're in the relegation mire, changing manager can give you a bump, as in Gillingham, can give you a knock. Morecambe went on a good run anyway, and there was an enforced manager change, but it's two sides of the manager change coin there. Just bear that in mind. So the question is, are Lincoln City safe? Well, first of all, if they are, it comes by virtue of a cracking game at the weekend. I didn't travel to Charlton. I could choose between Shrewsbury and Charlton, so I picked Shrewsbury. Good choice. But I have watched the game back. I have that facility on Scout, so I've sat and I've kind of watched. I also have the ability to fast forward the time wasting and the argument and bits and bobs like that, so it's quite good. I enjoyed the game immensely. I thought it was another professional Lincoln City away performance. I thought we didn't always control the game. Charlton had possession at various times, but did very little with it. And it looked an awful lot to me like a Lincoln City home performance from earlier in the season. You know what I mean? With some nice passing, some decent control, and no end product. The difference being, of course, there should be an end product with Charlton. Jayden Stockley, £750,000 striker. Connor Washington, went for more than $1 million at one point. Plays for Northern Ireland. These are strikers that should be doing better, especially when you've got the likes of Blackett Taylor on the flank. You've got Scott Fraser and George Dobson in midfield. I mean, George Dobson's a player who I've tracked a bit since he was at Walsall. He was a former West Ham trainee. He was brilliant for Walsall the year that they went down. Probably helped them, stay up or remain in contention for as long as they did. The player then moved to Sunderland, and his career's faltered a little bit since then. For me, that's the difference between Charlton and us. The performance is very Lincoln-like. Lots of possession, not doing a lot with it. But certainly they have players available to them who I think we had available at the time, that we were struggling to break teams down. I think I think probably we might have done a little better with that. So I was disappointed with Charlton in the respect of I thought they would be a better team. I wasn't disappointed by that, of course. I was absolutely delighted that they played how they did. But of course, there's always two sides to a game, and I think fans often forget that. Some fans kind of think you either win it or lose it. And some fans think the opposition either beat you or they don't. And they're two very different things. So some fans put everything on the opposition, and some fans put everything on you. But football's actually a little bit of a mixture of both. So, yeah, I think it's a good Charlton side who are not performing as well as they should be. I know Johnny Jackson was a popular appointment there, but if I was to Charlton board, I'd be looking at the players at his disposal and wondering why they are where they are. But at the same time, it was a good Lincoln City performance, and he's probably taken 41 games now for me to say, I think our best midfield is. Liam Bridcut, Conor McGrandles and Luis Fiorini, and I think the double eights, as Michael calls it, works really, really well. McGrandles certainly shorn of the defensive responsibility, has a lovely weight of pass, I think. I think there was an effort in, I can't remember which half it was in now, but he's put a beautiful ball through for Brook Norton-Cuffy on the flank. I think it was in the first half. So it was a cracking ball. You watch it, he just splits the defence, he splits the centre half and the fullback. Absolutely beautiful. That's what McGrandles can do. We haven't seen as much of it because he's been doing a lot of the water carrying in the middle of the park. You don't need that when Liam Bridcut's in the team. And look, I get there's two sides to the Liam Bridcut argument. Yeah. Where is the balance between games and quality? How many games do you need out of Liam Bridcut to say he's worth the investment? And there's lots of people saying he's our highest paid player, the money we play him, he needs to play more, all of that sort of stuff. Nobody knows for sure what Liam Bridcut's on except the football club and Liam Bridcut and his agent. No supporters. Supporters can say they know. I can say, oh, well, I think he's on X amount, and you can say, oh, well, I think he's on twice that, and someone else can say he's not on anything like that. Nobody knows for sure. So for me to make the argument, unless it's reported in the media, I think to make the argument is probably a little bit false and a little bit unfair on Liam. Granted, if he is amongst our highest earners, probably need more games out of him. Probably. Well, I'll say probably you do, don't you? You know, this season actually the points haul with Liam Bridcut in and Liam Bridcut out is more or less the same. I think it's actually slightly in favour of him not playing. But there's no arguing that we are a better team when Liam Bridcut plays. There is zero arguing that. I wouldn't take that argument with anybody. We look better. We can comfortably go back to a back four and not feel quite as susceptible. You know, the goal we conceded is from a set piece, not from open play. That's sheep shit, Charlie, leave it. So, yeah, I thought we looked comfortable at times with the four. And in recent weeks, we've looked comfortable with a three. Liam Bridcut playing, you look comfortable. So, I think that's where the game was won and lost. I think if you had asked me at the beginning of the game, you know, Fraser, Dobson and Gilby against Fiorini, McGrandles and Bridcut, I would have said that's a pretty good midfield matchup. It really is. And I thought we grasped it well. I think Fiorini has got over his dip. I like the boy. I just think his inconsistency in the middle of the season dragged him back a little bit. But I think overall, when you look at his goals, you know, I think he's scored 4, which I think only Maguire and Anthony Scully have scored more in the league, 9 and 5, and the Maguires have been penalties. So yeah, I think I like Fiorini in that position. And also when he's freed up, it's almost like if Bridcut's out, you have to play 2 in front of the back 4 just to compensate for him being out. But if he's in, you can play just him in front of the back 4. You know, having a man sent off keeps you a man down. Having Liam Bridcut in the team almost puts you a man up, certainly in terms of the way that we play. So it's interesting. I mean, looking at the game's major talking points, no arguments with the red cards. You'd moan a bit if you were a Lincoln fan and it was your player was Gilby getting sent off. Because quite simply, that's a crazy red card. Stupid. You're 1-0 down, you're on a booking. Just behave, lad. You know, and Michael said at half time, he told our players not to give the referee an opportunity to level things up. I think with Bobby Madeley, it's not as much an opportunity. You know, I think he calls the game how he sees it. But you've got to be thinking, if you're a professional footballer and you've got a booking, don't commit another bookable offence. And we know Bobby Madeley tries to keep 11 on the pitch. We saw it at MK Dons last season where he could have booked Brennan Johnson twice in quick succession. And he didn't. He booked him and then he let him off the second one. You know, final warning. If he committed another foul, he would have gone. Gilby was the same. He was on that foul, he committed it, he's gone. And as for our challenge, I don't like the anti-Morgan Rogers rhetoric. I don't like the anti-anybody rhetoric. If somebody's shit, you say they're shit. If somebody plays well, you say they've played well. If they're middling, they're middling. And to point a finger at a player and kind of have a pop at him every week is unfair. I actually thought Morgan Whittaker had a good game on Saturday, up until he's sending off. It was a red card, simple as that. People will call it brainless. It was a rash challenge. But where does he go? They say that he's not committed and he doesn't care. Then he puts a challenge like that in. Okay, it's a misjudged challenge, but at least it shows a little passion to win the ball, and it's not the sort of passion you want to see. You can't call him uncommitted for that. And his goal was committed. Okay, he didn't hit the ball straight away, but he got it. And yeah, we got slated in that for that on the radio and on social media. It's all, he should have scored earlier. He should have taken that effort earlier. He scored the goal. Do you know what I mean? He put the ball in the back of the net. It doesn't matter when he's hit it, he scored it. And people might go, oh, well, what if he missed? Yeah, brilliant. What if my nan had wheels? Should be a bike. So he scored the goal. For me, it's a decent strike. Scully's was a good strike as well, really good strike. You win 2-1. You come away. Are we safe? That's the question. We're 11 minutes in. I don't know what the wind is doing for you. It's blowing me all over and my hand's freezing. I don't think we're safe right now. I think if we win tomorrow night, we could be. I think with Liam Bridcut in the side, although mathematically we're not safe now, I think with Liam Bridcut in the side, I can sleep a lot easier. I look at the games that we've got remaining, and I think 3 points keeps you up. I think 48 is the benchmark to keep you in this division. I think probably I predicted 51, I think, a couple of weeks ago in an article. I'll stand by that. I think I can see 6 more points for us. I think I can see those, Fleetwood and Crewe, if I'm honest. I think I predicted we lose to Crewe on the final game of the season, but we'd have to be going some to let Crewe do the double over us, wouldn't we? I don't think that we go to Accrington on the final game of the season with anything to worry about. I'm brutally honest. I don't think Cheltenham come here on Easter Monday with anything to worry about. I think a certain Mr. Darren Chapman will be nice and happy that it will be a dead rubber game on Easter Monday, and he can enjoy it with neither side needing a result. I'll enjoy that. It'll be interesting to see what Michael Appleton does when we get to a dead rubber as well, won't it? He hasn't had one as yet. We haven't seen Michael Appleton play a Lincoln City team in the league with nothing at stake. And I'm wondering, will he try some of these young players? Will he rest certain players who have got a contract for next season, give some a chance to stake their claim? I mean, that's false, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you go into the last 2 games of the season and you're in the manager's mind not to have a contract, you're not going to do anything in the dead rubber against a team already relegated like Crewe. That's going to have the manager go, actually, I'll keep you. And there are some big questions over players for the future. I shall look at those in an article further down the line. Lots of talk of John Marquis. Will we go all out for him? Well, I think Hopper will be here next season. Ben House, Charlie Kendall, Anthony Scully, potentially. If Scully moves on in the summer, you might look at signing Marquis. Not sure if the Marquis and Hopper experiment has worked entirely. I think they're very similar players. You might play Tom Hopper with Charlie Kendall. You might play John Marquis with Ben House. Not sure Marquis and Hopper have linked up. They give the defence something additional to think about. I like the option for us to go 2 up top. I like the option for us to do anything outside of the usual 4-4-3, which can be effective, but doesn't always work. So we'll see. But to answer the question at the top, I mean, as you'll see, by the way, this is my walk now. By the time I get to that tree line up there, I have to finish. It's a slightly different walk that the dog wanted to do, unfortunately, today. Do I think we'll stay up? Yeah, of course, I do now. I was a little bit agitated on Saturday because, with points-wise, it's still not there. And you look at it and you think, well, they've got 18 to play for, and, there's 10 points difference, but it's incredibly rare for a team to make up an 8-point deficit over 5 or 6 games, isn't it? Incredibly difficult. I don't see it happening for us. I don't see one of the teams in the bottom kind of 4-6 putting together a run of games that puts us in the bottom. And even if one team does, there's still 2 other teams kind of buffering us as well. So I think that we can sleep easy. I wasn't worried. I was when Charlton's first goal went in, just because like drawing football games we should have won, but I'm not having sleepless nights about relegation now. I am bothered we have to play Forest Green next season. It feels like a step back. Do you know what I mean? Without even moving forward. But there we go. Tell you what, let's have a quick look through some of these questions and comments. Morning to Sean Simons. Hope you're well. Morning to Brian Rundley. Says congrats on the engagement. For those who don't know, myself and my good lady have set a date. We've actually been engaged for 7 years. We actually got engaged in May 2015. So There we go. Yeah, all good. Next June. Cornell, morning, my friend. Well done on your engagement. Gary Hutchinson, Badman Ting. We like that. Stu Wells, no nicking that for a meme. Mr. Brummett again. Has Scully's point been proven for Appleton starting regularly before the end, I think, of this season? I think we've had some kind of hint that Scholes has been a little bit kind of not at full fitness. It's just where you fit him in. You know, he's not the natural winger. I suppose, you know, he looks as comfortable on the left as anybody does. He linked up well with Jamie Robson for the goal. He linked up well with Cohen Bramall as well earlier in the season. So, yeah, I don't think there's a point to prove as such. I think he's a good player. I think he's our leading scorer. I think he's a player who other teams will look at. The second half of his season might have devalued him somewhat. When you think at the end of September, he looked like he was on for 25 goals. It's been a tough few months for Scholes. I like the lad. I'm not sure what his best position is, as I've said, but I like the lad. I think, you know, I think he'll play. He's a well player. He's on a longer contract. That's all there is to it. I think long term we will be hoping to sell him on. That's football. Paul Mark, congratulations on your engagement. Thank you, my friend. Mr. Freeston, 53 points should confirm it, mainly due to Morecambe's very poor goal difference. Yeah, I mean, I think 53, you're probably going to finish 4 points clear of the bottom 4 at that, I would say, almost certainly. Mr. Biddles, morning, Gaz, morning, pal. Colin Green, morning, Gary. Delighted to see you live just now. Just the thing when you're out on a 15-mile walk before heading off down to Fleetwood tomorrow, win that and we're safe, surely. Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Colin. I think win that and you know, it's a 6-pointer. Fleetwood feel they've probably taken a big step towards safety by beating Crewe, but they'd be in our place rather than theirs. Craig Green, great video. Tell it how it is. No bullshit, straight to the point. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lee Curtis. Next season, Paul centre back, TJ right back, or TJC back and Paul right back? Good question. TJ right back for me. Saw enough of TJ, I think, last season at right back, and Paul definitely a centre back. Mr. Ricketts, completely agree. Charm created more and better chances. We finished ours. Big thing for me was the chances often came at the defence switching off at times. Paul let Stockley have a couple of chances by drifting away. That's because Paul's not usually a centre-back. It makes a point for me that Appleton is managing with a hand behind his back with injuries this season. Yeah, I get that. I agree with that. I think we, you know, before Christmas, there's no arguing whatsoever about that. But bear in mind, he chose Paul over a Jackson-Walsh combination. I think Norton Cuffy's emergence as a right wing back has almost nudged Paul inside. I like Paul more as a centre back, but I like him as a centre back as part of a 3 rather than in a 2, because you've then got a little bit of cover from that holding centre back, or that, whatever you want to call him. Cornell says Whittaker's red card and his tackle was out of order. He should have known better. He was on a booking. He wasn't actually on a booking. I think it was a straight red, Cornell, but yeah, it's just a rush of blood. At least there was a little bit of passion. Whittaker dividing opinion here. He has quality but lacks industry. There's a good player in there. That's why I think a season with Michael would be a big thing. A season-long loan. Iron some of these issues out early on. And also every game he's played in has been pressure because he came into a relegation battle. You start in September, you're not in a relegation battle. Play with a little bit more freedom. And I think we saw players lacking confidence. 1 second. I've got to put my dog on the lead. I think we saw players lacking confidence when things got a little bit tough, you know, when we started losing games and that sort of thing. I think Fiorini was one who began to lack confidence. Dan and Lunderloo. But I think early doors, both of those, bear in mind, didn't start the season in the first team. I think Fiorini came in against Cambridge. Lunderloo was a little bit after, so that we were already an atmosphere. You get Whittaker playing in a team a little bit, you know, a little bit free, a little bit more free. I think you get a better player. I'd like to see him sign in next season on loan. Think he was rested Hopper and Marquis? No, I don't, Sean. I don't think Hopper and Marquis were rested. I think we didn't show enough industry going forward against Shrewsbury. It was laboured, it was slow, with Maguire playing behind them as well. He dropped the front 3. There's no surprise. That Shrewsbury team were there for the taking. They're not better than us. But we've drawn twice and lost to them. So we haven't played better than them. Goes to say, doesn't it? Mr. Bride, morning, my friend. Any thoughts on Theo Archibald and Appleton's comments? I have. I think once you're out with Michael. Surprises me a little. Theo's done well at Leyton Orient. Hasn't torn the division up. I think if he was coming back with 10 goals and 8 assists, it'd be different. But I think we had minimal investment in Theo Archibald. I don't think that we play with out-and-out left winger. We play with a left attacker, but that attacker, like Anthony Scully proves, needs to be able to cut inside, needs to be able to do, probably play a little bit more centrally, have a little bit more kind of versatility. So interesting. 1 second, Charlie, come on. Interesting. I think we'll cash in on him. I really do think we'll cash in on him. Kev Green, morning pal. Saw some pictures of you on Saturday. You look to be having a good time. Go back a long way with Mr. Green. Morning, Gaz. Congratulations, mate. Had a great day Saturday. Feel safe now. David Spencer. Hi, Charlie, who just got his little cameo. Right, I'm now on the road, as you'll see. Cars come flying up here. Come on, boy. It's all industry. I don't know if you can see in here that's tons of sugar beet getting loaded into a lorry. So it's all happening at the moment. One of the reasons I didn't go my normal way. I want to go back. So there we go. Are Lincoln City safe? The answer to the title question is yes, in theory. Football's not in theory. Football's a game of practice. We still have to get points to make it so. I think if I do a dog walk video next week at this time, we'll all be breathing much, much easier. Tough game on Saturday. Can expect a draw, I think, from that against Wigan, especially if we're going into it all but safe. I think that we can get something. We play well against the bigger teams. We've proven that at home against Sheffield Wednesday. I thought we played well against Sunderland. We'll have a decent side out. Tomorrow night's the big one, isn't it? Win tomorrow night, and I think, we'll all go to bed thinking League One next season. And you build from there. I've seen enough this season. I've seen enough these past 6 weeks to convince me that Michael Appleton's the right man for Lincoln City. I know a lot of people say that about the Charlton game. I'll be honest, there was very little difference between the Charlton game and some that we've lost in over the season. Yeah, and a result changes opinion more than a performance. You win a game, everybody's on a high. You lose a game, everyone's on a low. You can have exactly the same shots on goal. You can have exactly the same possession, passing, exactly the same attacking intent. Win, the manager's a genius. Lose, you should have done something different. Football's not that simple. I always used to think football was a simple game. I always used to say football, easy. 4-4-2. Tough tackling centre-half, passing centre-half, full-backs that get forward, ball-playing midfielder, player tackling midfielder, 2 wingers, big man, little man up top. Piece of piss. There you go. I could win the league. It's not like that, is it? We've seen that this week. We've seen that this month, this year. It's a game of chess. Some setups you will give you success against some teams, others won't. Different strategies. I think we've got the strategy to keep us in League One this season. I think we've proven that in recent performances. I think we've seen enough to convince me that we can push on for the top half next season with the right recruitment. Enjoy your Monday. I hope it's not as windy or as blustery as me, and hopefully I will be touching base with you later in the week. If not by a dog walk, then almost certainly by the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I am home now. Goodbye.